Let's talk about Deshaun Watson here, guys, because it's interesting. He didn't play a particularly – throwing the ball, he wasn't very good. He was completely inaccurate in this game. Made a couple of nice throws, but was very inaccurate.
Yeah.
We got to keep it real, right? Because we're not going to do what Browns fans have done for 20 years is pretend mediocre quarterback play is good. No. He didn't play very well. But what gave me hope after this game was something we didn't see at all last year. It was command. Mm-hmm. It was confidence to the point of cockiness. It was his use of his legs on the play we just talked about when Wyatt Teller got the block. I mean, it was a great run on him. He used his legs effectively well, and he said he was smart enough to know, because he's got the plays in the huddle. He can switch it up. We talked about him switching up into that play. He knows, hey, running game's working. I'm going to stick with this. I'm struggling, whether it's the weather, whether I'm anxious about the first game, whatever it is. I'm not very accurate right now. Let's focus on my legs and Nick Chubb's legs, and let's get this game done. And I thought that was a good sign. Now, long term, he's got to play a lot better. He didn't play well enough. They won anyway. That's good. But he's got to play better. But I thought the swag was there. And I think that leads me to believe that the passes will be there eventually.
Jason's biting his tongue.
Now, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Show of hands, who are the psychopaths around here who said they would rather Deshaun ball out in a loss than not play well in a win? Because he just didn't play well in a win.
Yeah, I'll take the L on that one. I'll take the L.
Yep, come on.
Fair enough.
And that's exactly what happened. And while it was happening, I said,
put your hand up. Put your hand up.
I said,
put your hand up.
Mikey and Bull are going,
put your hand up.
This is a nightmare for me. This is a nightmare for me. Because I always take the win. Always take the win.
All right.
Well, Bull, I think this is the equivalent of a pitcher who is a fastball pitcher coming into a game and realizing right away, I can't spot it. So he goes to his secondary pitch, and he's throwing curveballs, and he's changing speeds, change-ups, and guys can't hit it, so they're winning. It's not pretty. They won 6-4. He gave up a couple of big hits, but he did enough to win the war. Now, the next time that pitcher comes out, who's a fastball pitcher, the fastball's there. How is it that he had it 1 week and not the? Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Sometimes it's in the bullpen and you leave it there. Sometimes it's not in the bullpen and you find it. The beauty of what happened yesterday for me, it told me that despite all of our talk that Deshaun Watson has to be great or this season is a wash, with this defense and with Nick Chubb playing the way he did and utilizing him the way they did, I no longer think that he has to be an elite top 5 for this team to make the playoffs. I just don't.
For this team to get where they want to go,
he's got to be top 10.
He has to be.
At some point, he's going to need to be.
And
what I learned last night is if it's not there and he doesn't have it against a great team, we still have it.
But that's where we say it's one game. We don't know.
I know. We don't know.
It's uncomfortable.
It was encouraging.
It's uncomfortable coming off the 6 games he had last year to struggle the way he did yesterday throwing the ball. It's very uncomfortable. But you take the win every time because you still have 16 more games in front of you.
I don't think it's uncomfortable. You know why?
It was raining, yes.
Because the guy that was you want 154 or 82?
Well,
that 82,
either, but 154 is better than 82.
82's been to a Super Bowl.
I get that, but this a different.
It's coming off a calf
This is a different year. And I watched the press conference. I wanted to see what Joe Burrow said. He said, "Bro, I mean, ball was wet. I couldn't really get a grip on it like that. It was just tough, man. We really didn't have it. I didn't have the chemistry. We didn't do it. I watched that game, and you know why I was sitting here thinking? I said, this is sponsored by Watermelon Kool-Aid, by the way, man. You know, sometimes you don't gotta. This is close to red, but it's not really red,
bro.
right?
I think every day we should have a pitcher of Kool-Aid made with
listen,
ice.
We have a pitcher.
cups.
We have Kool-Aid. It's a tech hazard. It's gonna spill. There's no way we're not gonna spill.
I'm not putting my feet on the table anymore. Okay,
so big now.
So the reason why I got the watermelon Kool-Aid, this is a theme, this is a scheme. So stay with me. Is because my favorite Kool-Aid is red. But sometimes you ain't got red. Sometimes you like it's all gone. You got to go to the store. I got watermelon. This will work for me today. And the Browns' game plan was hey, we want red Kool-Aid. I'm sure they wanted to come out there and throw the ball over the park. I'm sure they wanted to show this new shiny offense. And I'm sure Deshaun Watson did not plan on skipping balls to people that were wide open and overthrowing people that were wide open as well. But one thing that Jay is correct on is this. Sometimes if you ain't got your best stuff, the good teams find a way to win those games.
They have more than one
and
pitch.
You got more than one something you could go to. And I go back to Leroy and I tell him, listen, Nick Chubb is different. He's the king of the North. You got to understand the Game of Thrones references, bro. Sometimes in the North, it's going to get cold. Sometimes in the North, your little magic and your dragons don't work against our ice wall. Nick Chubb is... See what I'm doing right there?
I get it.
Sometimes the White Walkers is up here and you spooked. It get dark early in the North. It get cold earlier in the North. And sometimes it's unpredictable. But the thing of the king of the North, Nick Chubb, he's battle tested.
He travels.
He travels. You know what travel? And there's one thing I always say. You go to anybody got a gold jacket to tell you. You know what travels? The running game and defense.
That's it. And that's where we're strong.
That travels. So guess what? Hey, Deshaun, we know you can hit them throws. We'll work on it. We'll continue to build that up. But I'm going to tell you what. You know what can work until that get fixed? Is that running game and that defense. And sometimes when you're thirsty, I'll take some watermelon Kool-Aid.
I'll be curious to see how he plays.
Is okay.
It's okay.
Obviously, the weather was a factor for both quarterbacks. Certainly that played a role.
Let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
Who here has played football in wet conditions, tried to throw a football in wet conditions? We take for granted, because we're sitting at home and it's comfy and warm and dry, we're like, come on, he's got to hit that throw. My explanation for why he was adequate and Joe Burrow was well below average was because Joe Burrow, and he even joked about this, after he made it to the Super Bowl, I guess I'm doing okay with my small hands. Yeah, small hands they're not ideal, but you can throw a ball in dry conditions with small hands. Get it wet now.
Yeah, it's
try to palm a wet basketball.
Yeah,
but it wasn't a hurricane.
Yeah,
but the ball was wet. The ball
we're
was
making
wet
too many excuses.
But
Guys didn't play well.
But what I'm saying about this is the same thing last year for the Saints game. I was at that game, and I'm trying to imagine that I'm down on the field trying to throw or catch a football.
Yeah.
Like, you got to temper your expectations with the weather. And I know it wasn't a hurricane, but the ball was wet all day.
I want to go back to that Saints game.
And the receivers' hands were wet all day.
I want to go back to that Saints game in 1 minute, but here's the thing that's weird about it, because we've seen much heavier rain than that. It was like a steady, it's heavier than a mist, but it wasn't pouring.
But everything was wet the whole day.
But I wonder, and I don't know this, but I just wonder if the fact that neither team expected it is why it had such a big impact.
Possibly.
Because the game plans for both sides were for a clear day. Nobody was expecting it to rain.
It's a 5% chance. I love our weather folks, but everybody missed it.
Yeah, and Kevin even joked about it after the game. He's like, I think a lot of the weather people are wrong around here.
I think we're making too many excuses. We can't say the Browns defense played great and beat up
But
Burrow.
I don't think it's an excuse. It's an explanation.
It's a factor. It's not good enough. Joe Burrow was awful. And Deshaun Watson did not play well enough. He has to play better.
You admit that with a small hand, throwing a wet football is more difficult.
I don't know. I've never seen Joe Burrow. He's played in the rain before. He's never had a problem. So that's not an excuse.
Kevin basically acknowledged that they had to alter the game plan because of the rain. They came in expecting this, and they got that. Now, does that explain 154 and 82? Not entirely, but I think it was a little bit of a factor in it. Just the fact that they weren't expecting it. Therefore, the playbook was not set for those conditions.
What grades you give for Watson?
I give him a C.
I give him a C.
C minus.
C.
Yeah,
but he only gets a C because I thought he led well and he ran well.
Oh, yeah.
He started horrible. He was worse than Joe to start.
Yeah.
What I was most impressed with was he brought it back in. Like, if the train was wobbling and going sideways, he kept it on the tracks. He knew when to run. He moved the sticks appropriately. I thought all of his decisions to tuck and run were right. I thought the two things that disappointed me the most, and we'll talk about this throughout the year, I'm afraid, Marquise Goodwin is not fast for NFL standards. He is world-class fast. Right. He's one of the fastest guys, if not in the NFL, still at his age. He underthrew him twice on balls that he had him for touchdowns.
Yep.
Now, the good news here is Marquise is going to get behind defenses all year long. We've got to figure out a way to make sure Deshaun look, overthrow him by 5 yards.
Tyvis and I were joking in the press box at halftime about that, and Tyvis said, "Tell that man throw it as far as you can."
Yes,
Marquise will get there. Just throw it as far as you can, and Marquise will get it.
Yeah, I think Deshaun, as just a thrower, was a D.
Oh, absolutely.
As overall, he was a C because I thought the other parts of the game were a B.
I agree.
I found myself saying during the game, when you're playing in those games and you're in lineman and you're playing D-line or you're playing offensive line, you just find yourself saying, give me one throw. Just give me a couple. I don't need much. So there was a couple.
And he did make some clutch throws. The throw, the sticks and kept drives going.
The throw to, I thought DPJ on the sideline was a dime. I was like, wow, he caught that
over the defender. And he threw it in a window.
That was his best throw of the day.
And sometimes I didn't want him to get shell-shocked because you got to let it go. Sometimes, especially in the rain, you might not want to let it go because you're scared guys might fall down, receivers will just trip. Yeah. But I thought he did enough. And when he did run the football, I thought he didn't run like a quarterback. He ran like, oh no, this is
he was looking to take the contact and
to move the chains.
I want to go back to the Saints game that you mentioned last year, and if there's all kinds of analytics out there and advanced stats and everything else. One of them that I find interesting is ADOT, average depth of target, and it's telling you how far down the field they're trying to drive the ball. Average depth of target is how far does the ball travel through the air. So it's not a dump and run. You don't get the yak yards.
Last year, everything was short.
Everything was short. His ADOT yesterday in the first half was over 12 yards a pass, which is, they're driving the ball down the field. They're trying to find chunk
That
plays.
was sticking with the game plan before they knew that the elements were going to knock them out of it.
So when they dialed it back, by the end of the game, it was still 10.9. Burrow was around 7. Even at 10.9, it was higher than any of his 6 games last year.
Oh, that's a good sign.
But here's the interesting part. His ADOT yesterday was 10.9. In the Saints game, it was 10.8. So that tells you it doesn't matter the conditions. Kevin don't care if it's rain, sleet, blizzard. It don't matter. They are going to throw the ball down the field in the snow and the rain.
Well, it was funny you're saying that because as I'm watching the Saints game and someone had told me that what the Browns are going to do in this Saints game is going to be reflective of what they're going to do next year.
Yeah.
Which 10.8, 10.9.
Yeah, 10.8, 10.9.
I disagree with Kevin not changing the game plan last year in New Orleans. I kept screaming it. I was at the game. I just kept saying, why are we not, do we not know it's cold and snowy? We were playing the game like it was September 10th.
And I was asking people after the season about that game, and it was if David Njoku catches the ball in the end zone that hits him right here, what's the conversation like after that game? Is even in those conditions, Deshaun leads them to victory.
Right.
And all he had to do is catch the ball and hit him right there.
And I might be crazy for this, but even though I give Deshaun a D on his throwing, because his throwing sucked yesterday.
He ended up over 50%.
Which is not good.
16 of 29, but at one point
he had a lot of.
He was like 7 for 18 or so. It was terrible.
But despite that game, believe it or not, gave me confidence that he's going to play well this year, because I never saw him look confident last year. He looked scared. He looked out of sorts. He looked not unsure of himself. All 6 of those games last year. And maybe I'm just conning myself because you're looking at me like you don't know what the hell you're talking about. I could be wrong. But I saw a guy who was playing with confidence. He wasn't playing well, but he was playing with confidence. And I just don't believe the talent disappeared.
Baker played with confidence for 4 years.
And it wasn't good enough.
Confidence only gets you
this
so
would be a bad time to remind Bull that Baker has 2 more touchdowns and 1 more win than Joe Burrow.
Wow. And that meaningless stat of the day is brought to you by...
Well, it's always meaningless when it's goes the other way.
Is that a meaningful stat? Is that a meaningful stat?
It is for 1 week.
For 1 week, yeah.
Yes, that's it. And I'm not going to read into that because I'm still buying Joe Burrow long term and selling Baker.
Yeah.
But we won't even get into
Baker
that.
did throw 2 touchdowns.
That's my fault. Sorry, I mentioned Baker.
You brought him up.
Brought him up. Listen, let's not be phony about this. Watson's got to play way better than he did yesterday.
He
does.
Way better.
Yes.
He's not playing. But he has not played a single game for the Browns out of 7 like a franchise quarterback.
No, he hasn't.
None,
However,
including yesterday. But they won the game.
I know you said you feel better because he at least played with confidence.
Yes.
I feel better because he has a defense that provides him with an ultimate safety net. Also, all the talk in the offseason about we're going to be pass. Nick Chubb's involvement probably won't be what it was. That was the prototypical, to me, that's the textbook way you use Nick Chubb. You hand it to him 16 or 17 times. You throw it to him.
You complained about 16, 17 times.
Yes.
Because they weren't throwing him the ball. He caught 4. He was their leading receiver.
No, you were on that 20 carry wagon. You were on that 20 carry wagon last year.
All along is this. If you're not going to throw him the ball, then give it to him 5 more times.
I
don't think you ever said that once.
Yes, I'm talking touches. With Nick Chubb, I want touches.
So he had 20
because
touches.
When they put the football in his hand, the sticks get moved.
Here's what I'm going to say.
True.
The difference, the reason they won that game, it was not because of the quarterback. It was because Nick Chubb.
And the defense.
And the defense.
And that travels.
It don't have to be all or nothing. It don't got to be Deshaun Watson got to get 400 so I can say he's a franchise quarterback and I'll feel better. No, I want him to, we're going to get these wins. 24-3 make me feel good. 24-3 makes me feel good and great about what we're going to do. And by the way, on Monday
night, are you still on 4,800 yards?
I have not piped down yet. Listen, because guess what? It's not going to rain all day in Pittsburgh.
Do we know that?
Hopefully it ain't. If it's not going to rain all day in Pittsburgh and we coming up here, think about it. If he just hits the wide open throws that he missed, we over 300
By the way,
pass game.
Steelers already frustration. George Pickens already retweeting tweets from people saying he needs to get the ball more.
Oh, my goodness.
And you could tell.
I saw a clip of him on the sideline.
Aditi!
Shot at the end of the game when the wind was blowing. And
Aditi!
You could say,
we
don't have to go full Keyshawn.
Aditi, we got the Bengals up out of here. They real coy right now.
We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. But I had said last week, imagine if the Browns beat the Bengals and go to Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers to start the season 2-0, what will this city be like? And guys, I know you never put any dubs in the column before you get them.
Nope.
But the way things have played out rolling into week 2, I like their chances up in Pittsburgh.
I like them.
The Browns will be. Listen, the Browns are going to be 3-0 going into the home game with the Ravens in week 4.
Wow.
You can mark that down. That's over. Steelers suck. I said they sucked. I said Kenny Pickett sucks. I'm right. Kenny Pickett sucks.
You're the one who screams all the time about overreacting to week 1, and look at you now.
I know, it's absurd.
I'm getting a victory lap after week 1.
San Francisco is probably one of the best, if not the best defenses in the NFL.
We're doing absurd overreaction. We've already decided that the Browns defense is the greatest ever, and they're never going to lose, even though their quarterback played bad.
Yeah.
So we're doing overreaction Monday.
There it is.
Overreaction Monday.
Paul's the one always saying, don't overreact to week 1. Don't overreact to week 1. Now look at him.
Sucks. Any chance he gets to say Pickett sucks.
When it backs up what I believe, I'm going for it every time.
You want.
We are doing tomorrow.
And all the fans agree with me. Everybody's with me on this. Kenny Pickett sucks.
What's the name of your fantasy team, by the way?
It depends what league.
Is it the Argumentative?
Yes.
Mafia.